Music videos are creations of music and technology. But the heartbeat of music videos is dance. Dance that is influenced by spectacular Hollywood musicals, by the soulful steps of James Brown, and the precision steps of Motown, and by street dance of every description. Today's superstars collaborate with new choreographers to create music's most memorable videos.
Music videos, I don't think they quite knew what they were going to be when they began, and they've become an institution in themselves.
The music video format has given dance the exposure that it needs.
Videos, to me, are like a fantasy. It's like a dream type of thing. And when you dream so rapidly and so fast. So therefore, the movement needs to be the same thing. It needs to like hit you and go, hit you and go, hit you and go. And that's how I like my choreography.
Dance is the whole life of music videos. You play one video that has no dancing, and it may be sentimental, you may shed a tear. But it's nothing like you feel when you see a great dance video. It's like, hey, I'm going out this weekend, or, you know, it puts the life into you, it makes you feel really good.
Today, videos are almost more important than the song, than the actual music that you're going to hear on the radio. It's like, no, the video has to be incredible.
A friend of mine had pointed out, hey, do you realize that you and other choreographers help sell millions of albums for these artists? I was taken aback and I said, you know, no, I didn't. I never thought about it like that.
Make no mistake about it, dancing is the life of artists like myself, and the greatest artists in the history of the music business have all been great dancers. There are better singers, but they're not better all-around entertainers. And when you say entertainer, it has the word dance all over it.
In the 50s, rock and roll was young, loud, and flamboyant. Its pioneering stars didn't stand and sing, they moved. Their signature moves brought new names to the language of entertainment and to the language of dance. Their young fans looked to the stage and demanded excitement. And no one has created more excitement or more steps than the hardest working man in show business, the godfather of soul, Mr. James Brown.
I started dancing as a necessity back in 1941. I was living in Augusta, Georgia. Carnival was very bad. And I started dancing for the soldiers. And they got excited and they started throwing quarters and nickels and dimes. And pretty soon, I had a lot of money on the ground. So I realized dancing, that was going to be a way of life for me. When you're dancing against the grain, it makes it more dynamic. But if you float, then you're not doing anything. You see how I made so many dances? I'd always add to something that I felt already on the stage. If I do a dance and can't put myself into it, I don't do that dance long. I'm doing my show. I see moves. I see moves. I see them for myself. I see them for my audience. And I blend those things. And then eventually I get a whole string of things.
When you look at his dancing, you realize that he danced to entertain from the beginning. It was to do the flashiest thing possible. So very early on, he learned the value and the tricks of a showman. The lessons he learned as a young guy, scuffling for money, are what he evolved later on into his more professional dancing style.
James Brown was an incredible showman, even though his dance vocabulary was very limited. I mean, what he did with it and how he used it to express himself was phenomenal.
A lot of people are taken from James Brown when Prince does his splits.
There's a brand new groove going round. Upright. In your funky time. Upright.
Michael Jackson, in his early days with Jackson 5, he used to imitate James Brown verbatim.
No qualms about it. Obviously, I am inspired by James Brown. He's magnificent.
Most of the entertainers out there, I taught them most of the things they know, but I didn't teach them all the things I know, because I want to stay around, you know.
Everybody wants swing. We want to dance. Got the energy, the plan. We're so tired of standing still. We got to move on.
When a man's 58 years old out there dancing, he wants them to say, what is he going to do next? I thank God for the energy and the endurance to be out there with some kid 30 years younger than myself, and he has to sit down, and I can keep on dancing.
Move on. Hey. So tired, stand still. We got to move. Man, move on. So tired, I'm standing still. We got to move.
James Brown really articulated the aesthetic of soul music, of great emotionalism, raw, gritty, in-your-face almost presentation. Motown, on the other hand, at the same time, was a more urbane, sophisticated style. It was very much influenced by the background of Cholly Atkins, his choreographer.
I first came to Motown in 1965 to become a part of artist development. At Motown, they were developing artists for personal appearances in the regular supper club circuit, which was at that time unheard of because R&B acts just were not supper club type of artists. That was one of the reasons why they brought me out, because of my experience with the Broadway and what Coles and Atkins stood for in the sense of sophistication. And we were classified as a class act. And I don't know any two guys, any classes in Coles and Atkins as people. During the periods that Honey and I would have off, I would do choreography for various vocal groups. That was my introduction into vocal choreography. And I started doing things for a group called the Cadillacs. My work with the Cadillacs made an impact because it was very organized choreography, precision choreography, whatever fit the rhythmic pattern of their music. And the record company started designing my services for their artists. Motown had a roster of about 27 acts. Priority was given to Temptations and the Supremes, Gladys Knight and the Pips, Martha and the Vandellas, Marvin Gaye, the Four Tops, and Smokey Robinson.
And she said, just because you become a young man now, there's still some things that you don't understand now. Before you ask some girl for a hand now, keep your freedom for as long as you can now. My mama told me, you better shop around. Oh, yeah, you better.
Motown influenced a lot of the general movement For a while there, it was a very loose hangover from every tub stood on its own bottom. You do whatever you think. Then it became an organized presentation. Everybody's doing the same step. A little different, but individuality is in there.
So in love, sad as could be, 'cause a pretty face got the best of me.
What they call the archives of the Motown movement was created for the Temptations by Paul Williams.
If good looks was a minute, you know that you could be an hour. The way you stole my heart.
Most of the moves that Paul used were street moves. We just cleaned them up a little bit and went on to the newer things with my approach. I use street moves too, but being more of a student of choreographing, my creativity was a little bit more extensive. Was to try to make a happy marriage between the oral and the visual.
Well, the key thing that Motown gave, particularly through, obviously through Cholly Atkins' choreography, was the idea of vocal choreography for the group. And there wasn't a group from the 60s on through who were not consciously influenced by the stage moves of the Temptations, the Four Tops, the Supremes. Every generation brings its own flavor to it. That's not new. That goes all the way back to the days of American Bandstand. All the way through Soul Train. This whole continuum of people watching something and imitating it. But the idea that you could digest this music through visual medium began changing the medium greatly.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
MTV was conceived as a white rock outlet. With the Beat It video, Michael Jackson was able to clout his way on the station. The fact that video got on changed MTV and set the stage for all the things that have happened. Beat It video is historic for two important reasons. One, obviously, it broke open the barrier for black artists at MTV. It really showed that black artists belonged in that network and helped change the direction of the network, I think, ultimately. Two, he used a commercial director, Bob Giraldi, who had great instincts in how to package images, and he used established theatrical choreographer Micheal Peters.
When Beat It came around, Michael decided to use Bob, but said to him, I want you to direct, but you have to use a choreographer named Micheal Peters. And Bob just started laughing because we were already working together. That was it. That's how it happened. And he asked me if I would dance in the piece. And the rest, as they say, is history. The lyric dictated a lot of what the concept was. And then I was really free to do whatever I felt, as long as it continued to tell the storyline, which I think made that and some of the earlier videos in the 80s distinctive, that they weren't gratuitous dance, that they were dance that helped to continue to tell the story. Micheal was also the co-choreographer on Thriller. I worked with him totally on a rhythmic basis. I mean, he's not a trained dancer, so he has none of the vocabulary. He would say to me, I want a cool step here, or I want something that's hot and angry, or, you know, he just would describe it in emotional terms, or even in terms of color.
Micheal Peters began to give Michael Jackson structure, other than the routines that the Jackson 5 did. But Micheal Peters began to introduce Michael to what dance as structure was about, and I think it excited him very much. Michael is dance. Michael breathes dance, and every pore from his body is about dance and rhythm and music. With dance, we both sort of felt that the master of shooting dance was Vincent Minnelli, and we liked the technique of seeing the body. Of course, it's important to cut in for close-ups, and especially when you're of the stature of Michael Jackson, people want to see your face and closer and the personality. But we both really feel that it's important to see dance full figure as much as possible.
Michael has always been able to come up with something new. That separates an artist from a superstar. And it takes that big of an artist to introduce something new. Through video, everybody gets to see it. And if it's hip, everybody starts doing it. Try to get what's happening right on the street level or in clubs, you know, funky or street steps or hip-hop steps. And if you can give them to an artist, then everybody gets to see it.
Breakdancing never went out of fashion because they're all breaking, popping, and locking. If you look at the latest dance shows, rap videos, dance videos, they're still doing it. You know, it might have calmed down. It's not straight out, but it's still there. But you have to remember that breakdancing was really recognized. When you say break, what you're talking about is the break of the record, not the person or the dance. The break is the description of the section of a record where you dance to. We would call break boys, B-boys. You break on the break. You know how it was, right?
Yeah, I mean, I started breakdancing because of my cousin. I went into his neighborhood, and he brought me to a jam. And I'd never been to a jam. I was about 9, 10 years old, and he goes, look, these guys are breakdancing. And I was like, damn, that's bad. That's a bad dance. And I said, wow, I gotta learn that. So he brought me up to his hallway. You know, that's where we had to practice. Them days we would practice in the hallways and break on concrete. We decided to get a cardboard later on when we got sick of the cuts.
You in the ghetto, you ain't got nothing to do, but you gotta do something creative to get out of it, you know? It was also very competitive. You know, the competitiveness is what gave you the discipline because there was no school for this.
As far as how we were taught or who taught us, we learned from the streets, and the streets learned from us because you had all these different crews out.
For us, it was competitiveness. That was the drive. And by seeing another guy who's better than you or could have been better than you, you have to take him out before he can be better than you. You gotta be the best. If you ain't the best, you know, they start talking bad about you.
It was actually a culture.
Poppin' definitely started from the West Coast. New York, it was a style called electric boogie. It was more funky and more character. It was more like a b-boy version of poppin'. Poppin' back in LA was more laid back, and it was very, you know, very still. It was very like, and New York was like, it's funky, you know what I'm saying? And when I picked up boogie, that's what I call it boogie back then, I was breaking first. I picked up boogie from the streets, watching older guys. Back then, if you was young, you was either watching the pimps and the drug dealers, or you was watching the talented people. And I moved from this area to this area. I learned from the talented people. I followed them, and I became a well-known street dancer. About money back then. It was just about girls, you know, getting respect from the homeboys, get the hoodlums to go up to you and give you a pound without dissing you or beating you up and shit, you know, or without having to get into fights, because, you know, everybody looked at you as like a ghetto celebrity. For a dance, you got your special move. You want to slam that move so hard so that when the people see it, it leaves an impression in their head. They'll never forget you. You know what I'm saying? I still got people calling me from England saying, Wiggles, how did you do that move? Janet Jackson, Michael Jackson, Paula Abdul, all of them still use the dance. They won't call it breaking, street jazz, or whatever they call it, but it's still the same thing. It comes from the same root. To me, voguing, hip-hop, breaking, all that has to be categorized as one dance. You can't separate it.
Voguing is literally sort of like breaking, but the gay version is a challenge dance. You didn't fight, you just took it out on a dance floor to see who could do the best movement. Voguing started in the black gay community, literally in the late 60s with drag queens, with fan dancing, but progressed because a lot of guys did not want to get up into feather boas, the La Cage aux Folles look, so they developed a form, which was voguing dancing, taken from the magazine. I learned from a friend. He showed me the movements, I loved it, and decided just to develop my own style from there. It started commercializing in '88. We threw a ball which brought uptown and downtown together as far as the fashion industry and the kids from Harlem who did the dance. A lot of people were interested as far as our interpretation of what a model should be or what a new dance craze should be. But literally, you still have to go to where we come from to do the dance correctly. Music videos that has voguing in it, you're only getting bits and pieces and elements broken down. They don't let you have your freedom to express what the dance is all about. They just want to market it and commercialize it and get it out there and make the money the best way.
Bringing Vogue out of the clubs, but making it an actual style of dancing and bringing it to the masses. I know she was criticized because many people said, well, she's not doing anything original with this. This has been around for a while, but so was the moonwalk. Madonna had called me and decided that she was going to do a version of Vogue live for the MTV Awards. And I knew that coming from the world of theater that what I would bring to this version of Vogue would be something that had hints of Moliere, hints of Restoration comedy, and by adding a little bit of the risque humor and, of course, Vogue. The style of dance lent itself to that period perfectly. It's all court gestures, basically, and the censors were coming down pretty heavy on people at the time, and especially on her. And I thought, my God, if they start to censor this, then they've got to begin to censor the classics. You know, they're talking about, you know, Moliere is too racy for us in the 90s.
Greta Garbo and Monroe, Dietrich and DiMaggio, Marlon Brando, Jimmy Dean, on the cover of a magazine. Grace Kelly, Hollow Jean, picture of a beauty queen. Jean Kelly, Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers, dance on.
She's always interested in pushing buttons as an artist and being controversial, and I think part of controversy is elevating people to the next step, whether it be sexual elevation or cross-dressing or gender bending or dance.
What she did do for the dance was to give it another shot in the arm. She did get it further than I did because, boom, hey, the name Madonna.
It takes someone like a Madonna or Michael Jackson or an MC Hammer or Janet Jackson to take something that's happening in the clubs that middle America is not exposed to and all of a sudden bring it to the masses and say, this is what's happening in America right now.
That's right. Let me tell you, nasty boys. I don't mean a thing. Oh, you nasty boys.
And I remember Nasty. Nasty was my favorite video because, well, besides winning an award for it, it was a video that I was really proud of because I more or less choreographed that video in an hour in my bathroom with a mirror that I only saw from my waist up.
Don't mean a thing to me.
I don't know when that will come again, when I can choreograph something so quickly and so easily. Janet's music worked wonderfully with the type of style that I did. It was a real magical time because everything fit together so well.
Nasty, nasty boys, give me your nasty groove.
Nasty Boys, Paula Abdul was a choreographer, and she was a new name then. You know, I loved her choreography. It was very street, and it was very tough, real masculine.
Of course, Paula has the advantage in dance coming from the technical side of things because she studied and she went to school. She did all of that. And I didn't, you know, I have my influence in technical dance, but for the most part, it comes from the street. In making the Rhythm Nation video, we auditioned a lot of dancers. Probably every dancer in town got the call. And basically, we're looking for people that moved like Janet or shared the same influences as the both of us, the street dance mixed with the technical dance. Janet, she moves really sharp. She hits her move really tight. She's sassy, she's sexy, and she's definitely come into her own. All Right video was Janet's vision back to the Hollywood musicals. We had done some research with Guys and Dolls, and Janet wanted to work with Michael Kidd. It was an honor, actually, you know, because he comes from a period in Hollywood that we don't have anymore.
The so-called golden era of musicals in Hollywood, late 50s, early 60s, and so forth, were unique. You almost couldn't duplicate them today. Some of the movies that I did were Bandwagon with Fred Astaire and Sid Charisse, Knock on Wood with Danny Kaye, Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, Guys and Dolls, which I did on the stage and repeated for the screen. Was I surprised, you say, when Janet Jackson asked me to do a music video? I was extremely surprised. She loved the opening of Guys and Dolls, the movie, showing the Broadway milieu. Could I lay out something that had that feeling to it? I said, well, yes. Hey! I hate to repeat anything I've done before, but I believe I can, I've lived in New York my whole life. I think we can devise a sequence that's comparable to that. We made a story out of it whereby this famous, well-known personality is coming to town, and these three hip-hoppers make the trip through the New York City streets, singing the song, It's All Right With Me, as the musical vehicle that carried him through this odyssey, all through various incidents in New York, bringing him to the theater where this person was appearing, and see what fantasy sequence we could develop out of it. She wanted to include as many of her old friends and people that she revered, so she wanted the Nicholas brothers. I was surprised to hear they were still dancing, and they were. It was her homage, her way of paying homage to the great performers of the past. Is there a difference between dance as used in music videos and dance as was used in the Hollywood big musicals? Yes, I think there's a fundamental difference. Usually, in most classical musicals, it was a love story involving characters whom we got to know. In music videos, they were created primarily to sell records. The fact that Michael and Janet are avid followers of the old film, I take as a credit to the old films. They acknowledge that they were interesting and they want to reproduce them. I think that's a good sign.
It's very simple, really. I mean, the musical is the American art form. It really is. It's something that's loved by every generation of Americans, and now especially that whole new generation of kids can see them on television, and it's keeping that genre alive.
Anchors Away is one of my favorite movies that Gene Kelly did. Opposites Attract, incorporating the cartoon character, was a fun video because I wanted to dance with animation and to create a cartoon character as a hip rapping cat. I have so many different influences in my style of choreography. I did Cold Hearted Snake because it was an homage to Bob Fosse, who's my favorite choreographer. I feel that a lot of his style is instilled in my style. I didn't expect my music to take off quite the way it did, but when I got signed to Virgin Records, it was like a dream come true because all I could think about was, wow, I get to do choreography for myself. I can't believe it. When I was choreographing for other artists, I knew in my heart that I wanted to be doing the entertaining. But I knew that choreography was proving to be my base. It's something that I will always come back to. I was so fortunate to take different styles. Jazz and modern kind of took over, but tap was always a love. Everyone thought I was crazy at the record company. What, you can tap dance and mix it with pop music? But I loved Straight Up because that was my first video where I was introduced to the public. And it was a very spontaneous, simple video, but it was so effective. Straight up now, tell me, do you really want to love me forever? When I caught in a hit and run. Straight up now, tell me, is it gonna be you and me together? Or are you just having fun? It was so hard to read. You play hide and seek with your true intentions. If you're only playing games, I'll just have to say. I'm very grateful to music videos. I think a lot of dancers are.
I think for a dancer in music videos, and maybe a choreographer as well. It's kind of a mixed love-hate relationship. You're very underpaid. You're usually abused and taken advantage of.
And unless a choreographer fights for overtime, the proper flooring.
Dancers have to dance on concrete, in the street sometimes, in water and rain, smoke. The worst situations you can think of are the most interesting for MTV.
I remember doing Nasty Boys dancing on cement. We danced 2 nights, you know, on the street or on cement, and you're just aching really, really bad. But that you kind of put up with it because you got to be in a video.
But on the other hand, what it gives a choreographer and a dancer is an opportunity to work. I think music videos are usually stepping stones for young artists.
I did a couple videos, and you know, Janet got to know me a little bit, and was like one of the dancers that Paula kept using at the time. And shortly after, I started choreographing for Janet. With The Pleasure Principle, Janet had done like 4 or 5 videos on that album. She was very much established. The guy at the time that was like kind of guiding her said, for one time, I would like to see Janet dance just by herself. Because we've seen her with guys, we've seen her with girls. She kind of like looked like, I think, you know, can I do it? And if it's done right, if it's really planned and choreographed to the T, yeah. They edited great. The director was great. He shot the choreography great. Later on, when I did a few more videos, I learned how important editing is. You can have great choreography, and it got edited bad, chopped up, and I saw an arm and a hand and a look. I didn't see the whole step.
In many cases, you actually lose the sequence of the dances because they stop in the middle of a step. So you really don't get a real full sequence of most of the dancing that they're presented.
I heard that Fred Astaire had it in his contract that he had to be photographed from head to toe at all times when he was dancing. Very few cuts in his dance scene, so it was pure dance, and you could see it. And I think it is important to see the moves, to see how the body moves.
Your word is mine. Okay, you're right.
In Bad, I was trying to combine a kind of dance rhythm to the music. Michael Jackson, he's such an incredible dancer, that's where the challenge was for me. To devise the angles and the camera moves to complement that dance. I listened to the music over and over again. I imagine how it's going to look. When I worked up the shots, I hadn't seen the dance yet. So there were some adjustments made, but they had to be, in my mind, already edited.
I'm getting you on count 3. Just show your stuff or let it be. I'm telling you, just watch your mouth.
I envisioned it in general terms, but I knew, for example, that there's I think it's the chorus he keeps going back to, in which he says, I'm bad, I'm really, really bad, and there's the beat stops, then you cut, and they start again another way. For the chorus, I knew I had to design a series of shots that circled him and ended in a big close-up. It's easy to say, but to circle him while they're dancing and to get the camera not to collide with the dancers and then wind up in a big close-up was a very difficult shot to get. The dance steps themselves were worked out to combine with the camera movement so that the camera itself is dancing. And the dolly grips are as important as some of the dancers. I wanted to make it almost classical, the way the great choreographers moved in the late 40s and early 50s in the films that I saw growing up. Some of the dance music videos disturb me because it's really lots of quick cuts and flashes, and I don't really see the dance.
There is a power in using dance in a very quick cut, chopped up, edited version. Dance is not always used in a narrative format, but it can be used merely for energy or excitement, as much as a visual or a costume change or lighting design.
Maybe we're clashing 2 forms. Maybe the video itself is the dance, you know, the piece of film itself, and the impression that it gives to the mind when you're flashing by on those channels. maybe it speaks another language to a younger generation, you know?
Music videos are indicative of where our culture has gone. Instant gratification, how fast, you know, I mean, my attention span is this short, so you better do it really fast because otherwise I'm going to hit that remote button and change the channel.
A lot of people who are upset with their videos because they don't come out right, they need to understand it. They need to get down there when the editing is going on and be a part of it.
Stop. Hammer time. Go with the flow. It is said if you can't groove the list, then you probably are dead. So wave your hands in the air. Bust a few moves. Run your fingers through your hair. This is it. For a winner, dance to this, and you're gonna get there. The move, slide, your rump. Just for a minute, let's all do the bump. Yeah. You can't touch this.
It is impossible for a non-dancer to edit a dancer's work. They will send me back a rough copy, and I'll go down there and make them start all over from shot number one, because I go to the bottom of all of the cuts, I look at all of the moves, and I write down all of the numbers. This is in, this is in, this is in, this is in.
I told you, homeboy, you can't touch this.
And I don't care what it looks like when they're done, we're going back, and all these shots are going in.
Look at my eyes, man. You can't touch this.
Because they'll like some shot of a vase. Isn't that great? The vase is in there. But I'm a dancer. I want the dancing, not the cinematography.
Break it down.
Stop. People like the videos a lot. I enjoy the videos, and you do see the energy. And you can feel it, but not like you can feel it when you come to my live show. I like the stage, I like performing. I've always liked the glitter of Las Vegas. James Brown, Earth, Wind and Fire, they gave spectacular shows. I went out and saw those shows when I was a very small kid. Why not bring that to the stage? It's missing.
You gotta have her! You gotta have her! No, no! That's what I said when I came to see a show. I looked and it was dead, dead. You know, I like a body in the ground. When the show ever go, let me know. If not, the clothes show not because the show ain't none of these work. I like a clock in the ring. They call him never get to earn the respect. There it is.
Rapping was walking side to side and rapping, but I had spent all my life dancing. And before there ever was a commercial success in rap like the Sugar Hill Gang with their first record in '78, there wasn't any rap known to us, basically, and we were dancing. And so to pick up the microphone and say, okay, I want to rap, but I won't dance, that thought never entered my mind. Hip-hop dance, when you say that, people have to understand that that is no more than a combination of a variety of dances together. It's not something that's new. It's modern, it's jazz, it's African, it's all dances mixed into one that's really hip-hop dancing. It's just that we take it and we get away from the classic and the technical part that dancers have to stay within that I actually think confines them myself.
I guess the so-called classroom for hip-hop is basically the clubs. That's where it comes from. You have to stay within that level to keep a high performance level. If you get away from the clubs, then you fall behind, and then you're no longer an innovator, you're a follower. But hip-hop is very physical, first of all. It's very abstract. It's very undefined. And it's very soulful. I mean, when the music's funky and you listen to that drummer's beat, your body just goes with it. A hip-hop choreographer, nobody ever heard of it. Everybody heard of Paula Abdul or Micheal Peters or people like of that nature.
We fight every night. Now that's not kosher. I reminisce with
The Fly Girls were technically trained jazz, ballet, tap dancers. And here I am going to do choreography. I've never worked with those type of dancers before. They were always street level dancers. When I first walked in, I said, look, I'm not a real choreographer. You know, I don't work like 5, 6, 7, 8. If I feel a move, you gotta copy it. And that's basically it. You know, I don't have any names for my moves. If I feel it, that's it. That's the move, that's the step. I'm great at combinations. And I thought about it, and I said, well, instead of trying to fit a 10 into a 9, let me just mix what they do naturally with what I do naturally. Okay, after you do this step, I want you to do, yeah, what is that, a jeté? Yeah, do that jeté stuff. The girls were like, are you serious? I said, yeah, I'm serious. And give me 2 pirouettes. Yeah, those pirouettes. And they, you know, they were like laughing at me, and I stumbled upon it purely by mistake, combining jazz and ballet with hip hop. And then all of a sudden, the media just jumped on it. And they were like, Rosie Perez creates a new art form, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, yeah.
There was a certain influence that people have had on one another, and it's picked up on television. When you look at The Living Color, dancers, the Fly Girls, I appreciate what they do. The CNC Music Factory, Freedom Williams with his new style of music. I enjoy his dancing and rapping.
Y'all want this party started, right? Y'all want this party started quickly, right? Bang. Bang. Bang.
Freedom Williams and I met. He said, Jamale, I want to do something different with dance. What can you do? And I said, the best thing I can do is get a group of dancers for you, get to know you, work with you, and pull you out. I've learned that when you're working with a dancer, it's not about the steps. It's finding that person that will best represent the image of CNC Music Factory, which is, first off, a love for dance. Second off, high voltage energy, that when they're dancing, you want to see them dance. Being a choreographer, I understand that there's really not a thing called a new step. There's a thing, everybody has a different interpretation. It's been done someplace in some culture by someone before. But what makes it different is that person's heart and that person's feeling and how they take the movement and present it to you.
Bang. Bang 'em.
In time, as the music industry continues to progress and the relationship between dance and music continues to grow, I'm hoping that directors and product managers will see choreographers as really intelligent people that have a career of validity and understand that the dancers that come along are people that have invested 10 or 15 years of their life to do this job.
A contemporary video by CNC Music Factory. While it uses all of the contemporary lighting techniques of today and cutting techniques, which are very frantic and high energy, it's the drama of the human body that makes it interesting.
If you were to spend any time with any of these kids, the hip-hop kids or the breaker kids or the locker kids, I mean, the time and the energy that they spend to perfect one movement absolutely boggles your mind.
A double tour is a trick. A fouette is a trick. We all know that is a trick. We as dancers call them tricks. So if someone gets up and does the running man into a back aerial and spins on their back, it's a trick. And they're all valid, and they all really have a place in dance.
Jazz dancers should know how to break. A breaker should know how to jazz. It should all be one dance. I shouldn't see a ballet dancer coming up to me with a little stuck-up attitude and saying, you know, you don't have technique. And I shouldn't see a breaker with the same attitude saying, well, I'm the best dancer in the world.
that music videos would not have had the life they have had they not discovered the linkage with dance.
Dancers, too, I think they have a dream that by getting a solo piece in a music video, it may give them an opportunity to be a star, to be a Paula Abdul, to be a Madonna, to be a Michael Jackson.
Really, music videos have become like the musicals of our era, except in compact versions, like mini musicals, as it were.
It shows America what dance is about in America these days. It takes dance from the streets, from the clubs, and puts it in a visual medium where everyone across America and the world is exposed to what's happening in America. It truly is dance in America.
Take a breath and go for yours on my command. Now hit the dance floor. It's gonna make you sweat till you bleed. Is that dope enough? Indeed, I paid the price to control the dice. I'm more precise. To the point, I'm nice. The music takes control. Your heart and your soul unfold. Your body is free and behold. Dance till you can't dance till you can't dance no more. Get on the floor and get